Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
Welcome to the Rocket Right Show, starring Hurricane Betsy Barnes and Dr. K. Solar. Two busy blondes with their fingers on the pulse of all things Louisiana. Events, health, leisure, entertainment, and more. It's the Rocket Right Show. And now, here's Betsy and Kay.
And welcome to Rocket Right. We're so glad that you could be with us, and we are sharing a little bit of Louisiana Mardi Gras. Laissez le bon temps rouler. We love to let the good times roll. So as you know, we are two busy blondes, me and Dr. K. Solar, on the go, showing off life in Louisiana. But we have a third busy blonde with us, and she stays very busy. We are so glad to sit down with Susan MaClay, who is the Executive Director of the Louisiana Museum Foundation. Thank you so much for inviting us into the Presbytere in Jackson Square. This is an amazing space, and we're in the gallery with the Louisiana Mardi Gras. Not just the New Orleans Mardi Gras, but this is specifically for Louisiana's outlying Mardi Gras outside of New Orleans.
Well, it is indeed, and Kay and Betsy, thank you so much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to join you. Before we get into what's on this floor of the museum, I'd like to just give a little bit about the building itself.
Oh, yes.
And I really enjoyed your earlier program when we talked about the Cabildo. Yes. But today we're in another of one of the 9 properties of the Louisiana State Museum, 5 of which are here in New Orleans, and you had the Cabildo, which is we call the crown jewel, but this is another gem of the State Museum. It's on the other side of St. Louis Cathedral. It anchors Jackson Square. And it's, by the way, another fantastic place for rentals, after-hours events, parties, weddings, corporate. I have to say, right now is a particularly exciting time to hold your function in this building, because the backdrop now is Rex, the 150th anniversary of the School of Design. That is the changing exhibit that's in this gallery. It's up through December 11th of 2022. So what just a beautiful exhibit. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but I couldn't think of a beautiful, more lovely backdrop for a function or an event. But let me tell you a little bit about this building. Okay, this building was designed in 1791 to match the Cabildo, which is on the other side of the cathedral, as I mentioned. Nice symmetry here. And basically, so it goes that it was designed for the clergy to have as a residence for St. Louis Cathedral, which at the time was not a cathedral yet, but up and coming. At any rate, that never really happened, is my understanding. Instead, this building was used for shops and offices. So its history is not as colorful and romantic as the Presbytere, the Cabildo, but it's equally beautiful. And I do encourage it also for an after-hours facility use meeting space. In the meantime, this building in 2000 opened entirely as a Mardi Gras museum. And it was both floors, and it was fascinating and lovely, well received. But then we had a little incident occur that affected New Orleans mightily, as well as parts of Acadiana, and that was known as Hurricane Katrina.
Yes.
And then Rita came. So the director of the museum at that time really felt that we needed to have a permanent exhibit that explained all this. And the ground floor became the hurricane, what we call the hurricane exhibit. Yes. It's still one of the #1 attractions in the State Museum system. Visitors from all over still want to learn about this. So that's what visitors will see on the ground floor. But then when you come upstairs, and by the way, the ground floor is what we call the resilience. That shows the resilience of the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. Kind of talks about various other things that the city and the state had been through over the centuries leading up to Hurricane Katrina, and how we always bounce back and come out stronger. Then you come upstairs, it's a whole different world. it's Mardi Gras. It's fun up here, and you can just tell the party atmosphere. This is just a fantastic and wonderful place. So what we have here is half of it is the permanent Mardi Gras exhibit. It gives a wonderful overview. It's interesting for natives and visitors alike. So it talks about parades and balls and the traditions, king cake and doubloons, which, by the way, I don't know if Dr. Stephen Hales is going to mention this, but Rex started a lot of those traditions 150 years ago, pertinent to New Orleans Mardi Gras. The colors, the purple, green, and gold colors, and then the doubloons they introduced in 1960, and now that's just taken for granted in New Orleans. So it's a good overview of New Orleans Mardi Gras, the history of Mardi Gras in Louisiana. But where it really gets a little different and interesting, which is the room we're sitting in right now, this tells the story of Mardi Gras in Acadiana, which is particularly fascinating.
They like a good time down there.
They do. And I feel like that this is actually more rooted in ancient medieval tradition for Mardi Gras, even than, New Orleans Mardi Gras really, for all intents and purposes, is kind of an invention of Rex. 150 years ago, they created the template for New Orleans Mardi Gras today. This is really cool. If you just look around, you can see the medieval influences. This Acadiana Mardi Gras is really rooted in ancient history for Mardi Gras. So I strongly encourage people to come see this. When you come, don't just go see Rex, it's beautiful. But you really want to see the rest of the whole Mardi Gras experience here on the second floor.
And we celebrate all over the state. Every community has a celebration, and this year there are 75 different parades, which means there's 75 different communities in 64 parishes that are celebrating one way or another. And so it's kind of funny, some of the traditions, they're much less formal than the parades in New Orleans, much more casual. You might have somebody knock on your door and try to find a chicken at your house. I mean, so there's a lot of traditions that involve families, and through the years are kind of 3 days, 4 days, 5 days of celebrations, but they are not the pageantry, but they're just as much fun.
Exactly, and I think that kind of describes it. New Orleans, you have the formal balls and the elaborate parades and whatnot, but this is really, to me, this is a family fun thing to do. And I just love the deep roots in the history of Cajun Mardi Gras or Mardi Gras in Acadiana. So this is the place to be for this. But I will tell you, once you've seen this, you do want to go see the new Rex exhibit, the 150th anniversary of the School of Design. Very pleased to tell you all that my museum foundation was very instrumental in raising the funding to make that happen. And I have to really thank the members of the Rex organization. They heeded the call when we came knocking. They wrote very generous checks. So it's a beautiful exhibit that you need to go see. And I know that Dr. Hales will be talking more from a curatorial perspective. So I just want to let you all know of a couple things that particularly interested me when I was making those calls to ask people to donate so we could fund it. And I think you all will find this interesting. For example, when you come to see the Rex exhibit, and it is 5 galleries, and there is a gallery known as the Queen's Gallery. There's a costume in there that was worn by the Queen in 1950. Now, what was special about that year? Any guess?
I don't know. There was a famous queen.
That's
a movie star, maybe.
A famous former king. The Duke and Duchess of Windsor, the former King Edward VIII of Great Britain, came to Mardi Gras. His American wife, who was known at that time as Wallis Simpson, the American divorcee, it was a big deal. They came to Mardi Gras, and everybody speculated, will they bow to the King and Queen of Carnival? And indeed, she curtsied and he gave a little bow. And so you can learn about that in the Rex exhibit. You can see the beautiful gown that Mary Brooks Soule, who was the queen that year, wore. There's a snippet from her memoir. So that's one of the kind of fun things that I like to talk about. Then there's another interesting thing I'd like to kind of note, and that is there is a 3D replica of a float that was designed by Royal Artists. This is the float builder that builds for Rex. They learned their craft from a city in Italy, Viareggio, Italy, which is another carnival town. You know, New Orleans ranks right up there with Rio and Venice and the world famous carnival towns. It is one of the places you got to come to take in Mardi Gras. But the float building and the old world artistry, you can see that. So I strongly, when you're here, take in Mary, you know, the gown that was worn when the Duke and Duchess came, and go see the beautiful replica of the float. Learn how this was made. And those are just a couple of highlights. One more quick one. They discovered that there was a jeweler in France that sketched a lot of the jewelry, and then they made it. We discovered the owner of those sketches. The company went out of business, and a collector in Germany bought those sketches. The Museum Foundation was able to purchase those sketches. So you can see the sketch that the jeweler made, and then you can see the beautiful jewelry that was created.
It's amazing how all of this was collected from such a vast time period.
And a vast number of places, and attics, and treasure chests, and jewelry boxes.
And from Europe, from across the sea. So right now, the Presbytere, it's always a fun family place to come visit. That's another thing. New Orleans is, the French Quarter is not just for adults, it's for families. Come on down to the Louisiana State Museum and visit the Mardi Gras Museum on the second floor of the Presbytere, and you will pass a good time for sure.
Yeah.
And we're going to be right back with Dr. Stephen Hales. He's the co-curator of this exhibit for the REC's 150th anniversary of the School of Design, and he also is the official historian of REC's. And we'll be right back with Dr. Stephen Hales.
There's a joy of life you'll find only in Louisiana. A spirit of celebration that takes your senses places they've never been before. Where expressions of joy are an art form and our way of life. Where an abundance of good food, good times, and great music means there's more than enough to go around. Come one, come y'all. Come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm John Goodman, inviting you to visit LouisianaTravel.com and plan your getaway today.
The use of opioids and addiction to opioids is on the rise, especially in Louisiana, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. If you have a family member or loved one that you are concerned about with regard to opioid use, please call my clinic, Advantage Health Solutions. You can speak with my nurse or you can speak with myself, and we will talk to you about how to get that person into treatment, and we'll tailor what we do to your needs, and we'll do what we can to get your loved one in treatment and onto the path to health.
Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar since 2014, with a full calendar available on the website 24/7, clickable links to artists and venues. View the entire weekend lineup at a glance and plan your outings with your friends. View professional recordings of local live musicians, watch interviews with people in our music community, and find additional resources. Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser of the great state of Louisiana. Hurricane Ida has brought great devastation to our community. In time of need, Louisianans always step up and help their neighbor. This time is no different. We'll help our neighbors and friends get back as we always do. If you need help or know of someone that needs help or would like to volunteer or make a donation, go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. We are Louisiana Strong. Thank you.
Since the early 1800s, the Selassie family has played a significant role in the retail industry in Louisiana. Stuart Selassie has achieved the Certified Diamond Graduate designation from the prestigious Gemological Institute of America. What that means to you, whether it's appraisals, design, build, repair, or diamond sales, you have an expert you can count on. At Selassie's, you make all the right choices. Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts in the heart of the Denham Springs Antique District. Find them on Facebook.
Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
And you're back with Rocket Right. I am Hurricane Betsy Barnes here with Dr. Kay Solar, and we have another doctor in the house, Dr. Stephen Hales, who is a very esteemed pediatrician, and he is also the official historian for the Rex organization in New Orleans. And as you know, Rex is known as being the king of Mardi Gras, celebrating 150 years. They've recently opened their exhibit in the Presbytere Museum here in New Orleans. The Rex organization's 150th anniversary of the School of Design is exquisite. Is it not the most beautiful?
It is fantastic.
It's beautiful.
It is fantastic.
Dr. Hales, talk about a lot of history, 150 years of history that you've captured in this beautiful book. And as the official historian, you have seen so much occur in Rex throughout the years and all the things that Rex has done to support the public education system in New Orleans.
It's been a very full 150 years.
Yes.
You know, it's a wonderful vantage point to stop and look back and to the founding of Rex and to the decades that have followed. So much has occurred artistically, historically. Rex's founders picked the motto pro bono publico, for the public good. And probably the greatest public good they've accomplished is to help put a bright light on Mardi Gras, to be the centerpiece of a celebration that has grown and grown and grown, and just become an essential part of New Orleans' economy. That was what the founders hoped to do, and it was their first great gift to the city. But they never stopped there. I mean, each decade, whatever the city needed, the Rex organization has tried to reach out and do that. So whether it's inviting former adversaries in the Reconstruction years to come and march in the Rex Parade, post-Katrina, really focusing on the need to restart public schools in New Orleans. Pro bono publico has meant something in each decade, but it's always been critical to who Rex seeks to be and how we seek to serve.
Looking at the major problems and ways people need to come together.
It's a great uniter. You know, there's not a time in the year that this city feels more together, that barriers fall, whether they're racial or socioeconomic. People on the parade route are rejoicing together. It's just an important part of who we are, how we celebrate, how we come together. And that was part of the founders' vision too. The post-Civil War city was a divided city. Really had a need to heal and needed to come together again. Rex's founders saw in Carnival an opportunity to do that. So they invented a king of Carnival, Rex. They started issuing commands and edicts to form up and make a parade, and people obeyed them. And then they sent out more edicts, come and celebrate with us. And people got on trains and steamboats, and they arrived here by the tens of thousands. Put Mardi Gras on the map, helped put New Orleans back on the map.
And even though Carnival season is one time of the year, there's a lot of planning, and it goes on the entire year to make this happen.
Yeah, this is a cycle that begins and ends with a parade. But when this year's parade goes back to the den, we tear it apart and start over again. I think people don't stop to remember how many different art forms are involved in Carnival. So it's not only beautiful costumes and those who design and make those, but it's jewelers, and it's those who create beautiful invitations and ball programs, the artists who work in the den to create these beautiful rolling works of art. That is such a unique art form. Nobody in the world does that except us. Nobody's crazy enough, right?
Right.
I mean, what are we going to do? We make 20 beautiful rolling works of art, 20 new floats every year, and we let them out on the street for a few hours. Everybody loves them. Put them back in the den, tear them apart, start over again. That's not a good business model.
No, it's not a good
But it's that ephemeral art form of Carnival, and we've kept those traditions going. I think that's another thing that the Rex organization has done, is to perpetuate and hold on to traditions that help to anchor a celebration that is now broad and diverse in ways that our founders never could have understood, never would have imagined that, but they'd be delighted with what it's become.
Well, if you look at the way that America has changed in 150 years, the way that New Orleans has changed in 150 years, keeping some of those traditions alive are really, really important to who we are culturally and historically. And we are standing in front of a case, one of many cases in, I believe, 5 galleries in the Presbytere Museum located at 701 Chartres Street in Jackson Square. These are some of the king's tunics. And they are incredible. They're incredible. But the only thing that's a little more exquisite than the tunics are the gowns, the ball gowns, the queen's gowns, and some of the jewelry, the crowns, the scepters, and those things that have been made in Paris for eons, for 150 years, that really are artistically exquisite. There's not words really to describe them.
And there will not be another time that so many of these things come together in one place. Wayne Phillips, who's the lead curator here, been a joy to work with Wayne. And to see this come together and to see all of these beautiful works of art, whether it's jewelry or costumes or invitations, sketches, designs, this is just a wealth of beautiful artifacts.
That's right. And it was Rex, the organization of Rex, all men, that chose the gold, green, and purple. Is that right?
That's true. I mean, when they made up this first celebration a couple of weeks before Mardi Gras in 1872, they didn't go out and do a lot of consulting. So when they left the room that first night, they decided there'd be Rex, the King of Carnival, the Pro Bono Publico motto, and they picked purple, green, and gold for the colors, which tells you there are no women there. I mean, this is not top of mind, you know. But look how that's endured, and it has become part of the fabric, if you will, of this celebration. Tradition does help anchor things. You know, as broad as this celebration is, to be able to go back a century and a half and say we're still doing a lot of those things, it anchors the celebration, gives it real depth over generations. And 150 years is a great vantage point to look at that.
It is. Your book is exquisite. It is exquisite. And that's a word that I'm using quite a bit today. But the detail, all of the artifacts that you have photographed in here, all the stories behind the story, it's just beautifully done. And so as the co-curator of this exhibit at the Presbytere, how does it make you feel to see all of this pulled together? You've got to feel just an enormous sense of accomplishment for the organization and for the love you have of history.
It is wonderful to see it here, to see it, to go from concept to collecting many of these things, to working with Wayne to see them here on display. Carnival is simply beautiful. I mean, the images of Carnival, if you can't write a book about Carnival and have it be beautiful, then shame on you, right?
That's right.
And this is a hefty book.
It is a hefty book.
This is a thick
lot
book.
of
But I
detail.
guess if it's got 150 years worth of history in it, it's got to be pretty thick.
It does, and you know, I love the visuals. I mean, the cover.
The cover is fantastic.
This is Alfred Hennon Morris, who was like 35 years old when he was King of Carnival. And that was a black and white photograph. Our son Matt is a very gifted computer graphics man. And he was able to gently colorize that. And Mr. Morris just looked like he's got this lovely smile on his face.
kidding.
And he said, I can't believe we're really doing this, you know. And it's a beautiful image that just draws you in.
So the King of Rex is always very secretive. They never announced that, but you actually were the King of Rex in 2017.
I was, and it was a wonderful honor and a wonderful memory. Rex's identity is revealed to the public just a few days before Carnival, and so that secret is kept while a whole lot of preparation is going on. And Rex will always be someone who's been active in the Rex organization, but consistent with that tradition of service, always someone who's worked actively in the community. And when I look at past Kings of Carnival, I'm very honored to join them. It's really a library of community service that I see there. But that secret is hard to keep. You have to learn to maybe tell a lie now and again.
Don't tell the women, because it'll spread quick if you tell the women. Now, do they tell the king that they're choosing? Do they tell him?
You learn that they try to sneak up on you.
Yeah.
And usually you're invited to a meeting you think is for one thing, and then you suddenly realize that this group is about something else. And they'll let you know that you've been selected to be King of Carnival, and you have to keep that secret till it's announced to the public.
That must be a hard secret to keep.
It is. Lots of preparations.
Well, we're going to be right back in just a moment with Dr. Stephen Hales. We're going to have him talk a little bit more about some of the stories around Carnival, and we're going to take a look at the crowns and the scepters and the collection of jewelry, which is like no other in the whole United States. So if you're thinking about a little vacation, you need to come to New Orleans. You need to take a look through here. It'd be a beautiful place to bring your family and friends. And we'll be right back with Dr. Stephen Hales. And then we're also later going to talk again with Susan MaClay. She is Executive Director of the Louisiana Museum Foundation, and she's got some things she wants to share with you also. We'll be right back.
My biggest concern was my family and being able to see me come home every day and know everything is going to be okay. I felt comfortable that I was being treated by some of the best. There were some scary points along the way, but it's just kind of like been a little blip in the road.
Money, wellness, fun. Rocket Right Radio takes you all across Louisiana and the nation with guests who live life to the fullest.
I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
I'm Dr. Kay Solar.
You're gonna love it.
Join us every week when we cover
everything under the sun.
Live and learn with the Wright sisters.
Politics,
health,
music and entertainment,
local lagnet.
Rocket Right Radio. You're gonna love it.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser of the great state of Louisiana. Hurricane Ida has brought great devastation to our community. In time of need, Louisianans always step up and help their neighbor. This time is no different. We'll help our neighbors and friends get back as we always do. If you need help or know of someone that needs help or would like to volunteer or make a donation, go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. We are Louisiana Strong. Thank you.
Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar since 2014, with a full calendar available on the website 24/7, clickable links to artists and venues. View the entire weekend lineup at a glance and plan your outings with your friends. View professional recordings of local live musicians, watch interviews with people in our music community, and find additional resources. Red Stick Music, Baton Rouge's live music calendar.
Whitetail Properties is not your average real estate company. Land specialist and MSU alum Jeff Taylor in Mississippi and LSU fan realtor Cade Taylor have teamed up. Their sole purpose is uniting buyers and sellers of recreational land. If you're interested in hunting, ranch, investment, and timber properties, Whitetail Properties experts have the right real estate for you. Call Jeff Taylor, 601-248-9433, or Cade Taylor, 225-719-0495, or visit whitetailproperties.com.
At Hightower Dental Concepts, we take a compassionate approach to family dentistry. Our goal is to make your dental experience comfortable and informative so you can make the best dental care decisions for you and your family. We're welcoming new patients to our dental family at Essen & Perkins, and we look forward to meeting you soon at Hightower Dental Concepts. Call us today at 769-0031 or request your appointment at info@dentalconceptsbr.com.
There's a joy of life you'll find only in Louisiana. A spirit of celebration that takes your senses places they've never been before. Where expressions of joy are an art form and our way of life. Where an abundance of good food, good times, and great music means there's more than enough to go around. Come one, come y'all. Come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm John Goodman, inviting you to visit louisianatravel.com and plan your getaway today.
And you're back with the Rocket Right Show. I'm Dr. Kay Solar in the house with Hurricane Betsy Barnes. And we're continuing our conversation with Dr. Stephen Hales here at the Rex exhibit. And if you can see, we're in a fantastic place with lots of jewels and sparklies. My kind of place. What about yours,
My
Bess?
kind of place. This is the Adler's Crown Jewels of Carnival Gallery. It is one of 5 galleries being used by the Rex 150th anniversary of the School of Design, and this is an education. to come in and just browse some of these designs. So if you're someone who loves jewelry like we do, or if you're someone that is interested in carnival history or the history of New Orleans, or just the traditions and the designs that all went into Rex for the kings and queens, this is the exhibit for you. And so you've written a fantastic book about this, very detailed, but it's something to read it, but it's another thing to experience it. And this year you can do both in the Presbytere.
This is such a beautiful display. I mean, who doesn't love bling?
Yes, who doesn't love bling?
You're right. Who doesn't love bling?
And imagine, I mean, you're creating a king and queen of carnival every year, so they have to have crown jewels, right? Most of these came over from Paris. They were created from sketches. Many of them responded to the theme that was planned for that year. But each of these beautiful sets of jewelry presented in a presentation case to the king or the queen of carnival, worn for that celebration, and then they went home with the king and queen of carnival.
And who wouldn't like to walk around the house with a crown?
Yeah, you know, take me seriously.
That's right.
But many of these ended up in family collections, sometimes just stowed in the attic. Wayne Phillips and I have chased many of these sets down in those attics, and people have been so generous in contributing them, donating them, or loaning them for this exhibition. There's never been such a wonderful collection and array of carnival jewelry ever, and it's a perfect opportunity to visit that.
I was wondering how you collected all of these jewels. That must have been an incredible task. How long did it take you to procure this many years of carnival jewels?
Wayne and I have worked on this for several years, and it was a gleam in the eye before that. We knew the 150th anniversary was coming up, and the State Museum and Wayne really have spearheaded this. And there's a whole process of finding these things wherever they are, and some of them we didn't even know existed. One of my favorite sets of jewelry was worn by Emily Percival Douglas. She went by Percival, and it's just an exquisite set. Until I got to see it here in these cases, the last time I saw it was on a kitchen table of her great-granddaughter who had showed it to us. It needed repair, it needed cleaning, but she was willing to let that be part of this exhibition. Her great-great-grandmother, Percival, would be delighted to see how beautiful these are and the story that these jewels tell. This isn't just about dates and jewels. I mean, each of these individuals, a queen of carnival, a king of carnival, accomplished people with stories of their own, and that's a big part of this.
And really they represented a royalty that, I mean, honestly, this collection would rival any crown jewel collection from any European country. The designs are so exquisite, so detailed, and they're beautiful. And some are set in what appears to be white gold or platinum. Others are set in what appears to be yellow gold. Some are of a little more Egyptian theme. Some look a little more Egyptian. Some are tall. Some are just
and they all look heavy.
They all look heavy.
They do all look heavy.
Yeah, and if you take a little 90-pound queen of carnival and you put all of that jewelry on her and a train and a collar and all, it's just the anger, right? I mean, New Orleans was always a European city, right?
Yes.
And my notion is that our founding fathers and mothers of this city, they missed royalty. They left France behind, Spain behind. They recreated a little bit of this in a fanciful way. I mean, as beautiful as this is rhinestones and paste and pot metal, right?
Doesn't look like it though.
Doesn't look like it, but they had a wonderful time bringing that bit of royalty to the city, and it's become just ingrained as part of our tradition, our culture, who we are.
The gowns are amazing. And some of the queens, most all of them young and single, right?
Yes.
The kings were older, typically older. And so many of the queens might meet their Prince Charming at the ball, at Carnival. And the gowns are really amazing, but they look extremely heavy. So when you put all that, it'd be very hard for a queen to really dance. It would be hard for a queen to really have a big time at the ball. But you had a story about a queen who ended up in Pointe-Coupee Parish. Tell us a little bit about that particular queen.
Yeah, Adrienne Lawrence is one of my favorite queens and favorite stories. She grew up in uptown New Orleans on Broadway Avenue. She was a bookworm. She loved her books, she loved her library, and she had a very large library. She married Mr. Claiborne, who was an attorney in Point Coupé Parish in New Roads, Louisiana, and went there as a young bride, and she took every book with her. And they never had children, but she loved her books so much she wanted to share them. So that her library became the first library in Point Coupé Parish, and a lending library that later became a full public library. The Claibornes donated the land and the money to create that, and within that library there was this shrine to Miss Adrian, her carnival jewels and her collar and her portrait. Those artifacts never left that library until the librarian agreed to let them visit us here.
Yes.
So Miss Adrian's jewels and her history are part of this exhibition, and I'm so glad to be able to tell her story again. She's beloved in Point Coupé Parish, but that story is broad and about to be shared.
Well, and the fact that she was from uptown and went from being a Mardi Gras queen of wrecks to then living in, at that time, a pretty rural area.
That's right. You know, one of her nieces who used to come visit her every summer and read those books was Lindy Claiborne Boggs.
Really?
Indeed. That's Miss Adrian's niece. And they had a wonderful relationship. And these generations go on and on. That's part of what makes tradition important. We want to have things that extend over generations and not just be in the moment. We don't want everything to be transitory and temporary. I love the way this grounds us and holds us together over generations.
And a lot of good times.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Lots of happy memories.
A lot of good times. So you wouldn't want to give us a hint about who this year's king is, would you?
You know, I'm the organization's historian, which means I look back.
You look back. Great answer.
I will, and it's a phrase we often use, and I look forward to telling his story and the Queen of Carnival's story, whoever they may be.
Yes. I think that whoever is chosen is going to be somebody who's outstanding and probably has a whole lot of history to tell. And so it's going to be something good. Maybe you can get started on your next book for the next 150 years.
Well, I think Wayne Phillips and I are going to take a little rest first.
I think you've earned it. I think so. Well, as a pediatrician who's been in the New Orleans area for over 40 years and a board member of Children's Hospital here, you've probably delivered quite a few people that enjoy Carnival.
You know, this is a small town in many ways. And what I love about practicing in a town where over generations I've been able to help families.
Yes.
I'm smart enough not to have delivered any babies, but I
very good. You were trying not to be in that place at that time. You showed up after it happened, right?
Very good obstetricians handed me those babies, and I never dropped one. So,
right, that's good.
I've watched a couple of generations now grow up, and some of my little babies I've watched be Queens of Carnival.
That would be exciting.
It's very special.
Yes. And so this year, what do you want to see happen? What would you like to see happen? You know, we're post-pandemic and things have changed so much with vaccination requirements and things like that. People aren't as freely going into restaurants and hotels and places where there's live music and things like that. There's lots to see and do. What do you hope to see this year that's different than years past?
So I want to see a happy celebration and a safe celebration. I give our leaders, our mayor, our physicians who've helped guide our policy, our governor, I give them credit for steering us through this, but we're at a point now where we're beginning to see the end of this pandemic, and I hope that celebration incorporates that. I think we need to be careful, we need to be respectful of the guidelines that are there, but I think we can come together and celebrate. And 150 years of the Rex organization is certainly a point to celebrate, but just being able to come back. I mean, remember the first carnival after Katrina, how important that was to this city. It was symbolic in ways that brought people back from where they'd been exiled to celebrate together. And I think it's going to be a similar kind of feeling this year.
Well, Dr. Stephen Hales, thank you so much for sharing this amazing collection that would not have really been possible without the work that you and others who have helped you put this here. We thank you so much for blessing us with it. And we encourage everyone to please come check this out at the Presbytere in Jackson Square in the French Quarter of New Orleans, Louisiana. And we'll be right back with Rocket Right with Hurricane Betsy Barnes and Dr. Kay Solar.
Hightower Dental Concepts, we take a compassionate approach to family dentistry. Our goal is to make your dental experience comfortable and informative so you can make the best dental care decisions for you and your family. We're welcoming new patients to our dental family at Essen & Perkins, and we look forward to meeting you soon at Hightower Dental Concepts. Call us today at 769-0031 or request your appointment at info@dentalconceptsbr.com.
Some call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. From music that shakes up your senses to food that wakes up your palate. That joy vibrates in every note we play and spices up every meal we serve. So come live life to the fullest. Come one, come y'all, come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm Sean Ardway, inviting you to plan your trip at louisianatravel.com.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Since the early 1800s, the Selassie family has played a significant role in the retail industry in Louisiana. Stuart Selassie has achieved the Certified Diamond Graduate designation from the prestigious Gemological Institute of America. What that means to you, whether it's appraisals, design, build, repair, or diamond sales, you have an expert you can count on. At Selassie's, you make all the right choices. Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts in the heart of the Denham Springs Antique District. Find them on Facebook.
The use of opioids and addiction to opioids is on the rise, especially in Louisiana, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. If you have a family member or loved one that you are concerned about with regard to opioid use, please call my clinic, Advantage Health Solutions. You can speak with my nurse or you can speak with myself, and we will talk to you about how to get that person into treatment, and we'll tailor what we do to your needs, and we'll do what we can to get your loved one in treatment and onto the path to health.
Whitetail Properties is not your average real estate company. Land specialist and MSU alum Jeff Taylor in Mississippi and LSU fan realtor Kay Taylor have teamed up. Their sole purpose is uniting buyers and sellers of recreational land. If you're interested in hunting, ranch, investment, and timber properties, Whitetail Properties experts have the right real estate for you. Call Jeff Taylor, 601-248-9433, or Kay Taylor, 225-719-0495, or visit whitetailproperties.com.
I had a meeting with Dr. Barfield, and it kind of just hit me. It probably is cancer. After the surgery, I wasn't scared anymore. I was looking forward to getting started with chemo. Not one time did I get a nurse in a bad mood. I was here for 5 hours at a time, and I did not dread coming. To get people from around the country to come to Baton Rouge, that says a lot right there. That this place is cutting edge.
And you're back with Rocket Right. I am Hurricane Betsy Barnes in the middle of a great Mardi Gras celebration. I have passed the hat to Dr. Kay Solar, and we are learning a little bit more about Mardi Gras, more than we ever thought we would ever know about Mardi Gras, here at the Presbytere in the heart of Jackson Square in New Orleans, with Susan MaClay, who is the Executive Director of the Louisiana Museum Foundation. So thank you for enlightening us,
and
because there's so many
us.
stories we didn't even know.
Well, you're very welcome, Betsy and Kay. Again, it's a pleasure to be back on the show. It's going to be a hard act to follow, Dr. Stephen Hales, but I will do my best. He really is an eminent historian of the Rex organization. Truly. He was, by the way, super helpful. The main curator on that project was actually Wayne Phillips, the curator of costumes, textiles, and Mardi Gras Carnival collections of the Louisiana State Museum. And I'm sorry he couldn't be with us today, but Dr. Hales co-curated with Wayne. And as you all saw, what a fabulous exhibit that is.
You have to see this. Yeah. You have to come see this at the Presbytere. It's second to none in exquisite, detailed, jeweled royalty. It's royal accoutrement.
It's grandeur. It is definitely the grandeur of Mardi Gras.
It is.
But what I want to talk a little bit about now is
this fun stuff.
The fun stuff.
Yeah. Not so much the blingy bling from Mardi Gras, but it's pretty blingy itself.
Yeah, actually, there's
lots
a
of
whole
fun craziness.
Well, there is. There's a whole other side of Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and I just want to briefly talk about that. Again, Rex is in the Changing Exhibits Gallery. So there have been other interesting exhibits that came there before, and after Rex goes, there will be other interesting exhibits that come after. But just to give you a little bit of an idea where we are now. Okay, so in New Orleans, there are multiple Mardi Gras organizations. And for example, the crew of Zulu, which is another crew, a group that parades on Mardi Gras Day, also has a wonderful ball. In 2009, we celebrated Zulu's 100th anniversary. So I wanted everyone to know there's a precedent for celebrating anniversaries. You know, we've got Rex, the 150th right now, but some years ago, there was Zulu's 100th anniversary. And anybody that's been down here on Mardi Gras Day that's got to experience Zulu, just a wonderful parading organization. They throw coconuts.
Wow.
So
that's
I'm saying
Zulu's king and Rex's king always meet.
Yes. They do, the day before, and it's quite a touching moment when the two kings meet. And I tell you, the first time I ever got a coconut, that was an exciting moment. So it was a lot of fun also working with the Zulu organization. But in addition to Zulu, there are just so many others I could talk about. So I'll just kind of briefly mention in global. Before the Rex exhibit, there was an exhibit on Mardi Gras Indians, and it was called Mystery in Motion, and it kind of explored the spiritual side of the Mardi Gras Indians and their traditions, and that was just a beautiful, colorful exhibit. Now, downstairs in this building, there is a Mardi Gras Indian costume that's absolutely, when you first come into the building, stop and really take in that fabulous Mardi Gras Indian costume. And it is my understanding at some point soon the curators will be creating a Mardi Gras Indian section as part of the permanent exhibit. But in addition to that, what we have behind us, is this not absolutely fascinating?
It is. Yes.
Okay, so New Orleans also has several gay carnival Mardi Gras organizations. Let me tell you, some of the most fabulous, creative, clever costumes you would ever want to see come from the gay carnival crews. And this is an example of one. There's another in the case over there that hopefully your viewers will get to see. Just fabulous, creative, and clever. So before Mystery in Motion, there was an exhibit on gay carnival, and that told of those fascinating traditions and costumes and the royalty from the gay carnival crews. And the way, there used to be, I don't think it's there anymore, but they used to have a costume contest on Bourbon Street. And boy, if you really wanted to see some fascinating costumes, it was fun to take that in. Okay, but then prior to that, there was an exhibit on women's crews. So New Orleans also has some women's crews with rich, deep traditions. You know, there was a special anniversary prior to Gay Carnival where we celebrated the anniversary of a prominent women's organization. So when you come here, you'll get to also see beautiful costumes and some information on women's carnival in New Orleans. And then we talked a little bit earlier about Cajun Carnival. So really, there's just a lot here to see.
Such a variety and diversity of what's going on, and so many crews.
Well, and what's beautiful about this exhibit is not only do you learn about all the various facets of New Orleans Carnival, but you also get to learn about Carnival in Acadiana and the deep roots that actually go back to the European traditions that gave birth to the whole carnival celebration, which I think I mentioned earlier when we welcomed everyone. You know, we're part of a worldwide. You go to Venice, you go to Rio, the little town of Viareggio. I didn't even know that there's another big carnival city in Italy other than Venice. So New Orleans, the state of Louisiana, we're part of that big worldwide stage of must come to see for visitors from our own state, from all over to come see Carnival. And what better backdrop than the French Quarter right here on Jackson Square.
Well, if you're a people watcher, you know, and it's fascinating to watch people in their interpretation of what celebration is, but we celebrate life every day, and it's a huge draw, and especially post-pandemic, and the hurricanes and the storms that we had over the last couple of years. It's very important for people to realize it's time to come back.
Time to get out.
Yes, as the Lieutenant Governor, who we deeply appreciate, Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, he has been so supportive of these special exhibits, everything we've done down here, as he likes to say, we're open for business, y'all. Right. You need to come to New Orleans, come to Louisiana. There is not a more hospitable state in the Union, and we welcome and embrace and love to have guests, so please come see us. And just take in all of this. It's just a magical place. And down here in the French Quarter, and I know I've said it before, but a lot of times people think the French Quarter is mainly an adult venue. There's a lot down here to do and see that is geared toward families and children. And certainly the Louisiana State Museum is one of those major attractions. So you've got this museum, you've got the Cabildo, the 1850 house, which is in the lower Pontalba, just across the square. That's set up to interpret how a family would have lived when the Baroness de Pontalba built those apartments. They were actually townhouses at the time. So you can come and see how a family, typical family would have lived. Our sister organization, the Friends of the Cabildo, funded this really cool soundscape. So for example, if you're in the dining room, you'll hear the family talking as if they're sitting at the table. When you go into the children, I know.
It might be kind of creepy, I'm just saying. Who's talking to me?
You go into the children. Well, you know the voices aren't coming from your head. You know the voices are part of the exhibit.
Well, as long as they've told you that beforehand, and you go, it's one of those spooky places where the ghosts are talking to me.
It's an immersive experience.
It's an immersive experience. And although there are stories from volunteers that worked in the building that the 1850 house might be haunted.
Could be.
Could be. A little bit of that down here.
Could be haunted.
Yeah, and I wouldn't know. I never experienced that. Another place where the Museum Foundation's offices used to be was at the back of Madame John's Legacy, which is unfortunately, or fortunately, it's closed right now. I say fortunately because it's under some major renovation and repairs, which is a good thing. But of course, we're anxious for those to be done so it can be opened back up to the public. But you know, I was in there. Sometimes we had to like literally work all night to get a project done. I've been in that building all hours of the day and night and literally overnight. And I assure you, if that place was haunted, I never experienced it.
You were never visited by any ghosts there?
I was never visited by any ghosts there. But supposedly, the 1850 house has some stories. The Cabildo has some stories. I have never personally experienced it. But
well, you know, all the buildings in New Orleans have 300 years of history, and some burned down and some were rebuilt like these. And it wouldn't be a surprise if it was haunted. It wouldn't be a surprise. So you just have to come to New Orleans and check it out and see if anybody comes to visit you.
That's right.
And of course, you know, when you're talking about families, who doesn't love beignets? And the Café du Monde, just walking from these places for
across the street, really. And the river's right there. What a fascinating, if you want to see the Mississippi River, no better place than the Moonwalk.
You can get on a paddle boat. Yes. You can take a tour, just a walking tour of cemeteries if that's what you choose to do.
Exactly.
You might get haunted there.
And you might get haunted there.
Maybe the cemeteries for sure.
Whatever you do, we know you're going to be rocking it.
That's right.
And if you're going to rock it, make sure you rock it right. In New Orleans, baby.
Are you a business owner that could use just one more customer? Those empty tables, vacant appointments, idle employees, and expired merchandise are missed opportunities. What if there were a community that connects you to high-value and motivated customers, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace and increasing your revenue? Introducing Partners One. You keep doing what you do best, taking care of your customers, and we'll do what we do best, sending you new customers to take care of. Call us today to find out how Partners One can work for your business.
Rock It Right with Betsy Barnes and Dr. Kay Solar is brought to you by these generous sponsors. Partners One, better barter for Baton Rouge and beyond.
Mary Bird Perkins, Our Lady of the Lake Cancer Center, Selassie Jewelry and Fine Gifts, Advantage Health Solutions with Dr. Boyd Michael Helm, Hightower Dental Concepts with Dr. Leah Larson, City Group Hospitality including City Pork Brasserie and Bar, City Pork Catering, City Slice, City Taco, Rouge Creole, and Beau Soleil.
Talent 360 Consulting with Vicki Little, Jeff Taylor, Realtor and Forester with Whitetail Properties. The 3rd Street Songwriters Festival. Elite Chiropractic with Dr. Ron McMorris. LouisianaIsATrip.com, Take One. Thank you for making our show possible.
Hi, I'm Katie, Operation Manager here at Old School Barbecue. We're excited about all of the changes here at Old School, and we'd like to invite everyone to come out and enjoy some delicious barbecue at Old School prices. We feature brisket, chicken, ribs, sausage, and the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich voted best deal in town. We also have live music Friday and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We can't wait to see you.
Some call it joie de vivre, the joy of life. In Louisiana, it's our way of life. From music that shakes up your senses to food that wakes up your palate. That joy vibrates in every note we play and spices up every meal we serve. So come live life to the fullest. Come one, come y'all, come feed your soul in Louisiana. I'm Sean Ardway, inviting you to plan your trip at LouisianaTravel.com.
The use of opioids and addiction to opioids is on the rise, especially in Louisiana, and I wanted to be a part of the solution. If you have a family member or loved one that you are concerned about with regard to opioid use, please call my clinic, Advantage Health Solutions. You can speak with my nurse or you can speak with myself, and we will talk to you about how to get that person into treatment, and we'll tailor what we do to your needs, and we'll do what we can to get your loved one in treatment and onto the path to health.
At Hightower Dental Concepts, we take a compassionate approach to family dentistry. Our goal is to make your dental experience comfortable and informative so you can make the best dental care decisions for you and your family. We're welcoming new patients to our dental family at Essen & Perkins, and we look forward to meeting you soon at Hightower Dental Concepts. Call us today at 769-0031 or request your appointment at info@dentalconceptsbr.com.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser of the great state of Louisiana. Hurricane Ida has brought great devastation to our community. In time of need, Louisianans always step up and help their neighbor. This time is no different. We'll help our neighbors and friends get back as we always do. If you need help or know of someone that needs help or would like to volunteer or make a donation, go to volunteerlouisiana.gov. We are Louisiana Strong. Thank you.